Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where I will be ranking every rifle in Sniper Elite V2. Surprisingly, this is the first dedicated Sniper Elite V2 video on my channel, and I did it because these recent Sniper Elite 5 videos have been getting a lot of views, and because of this, they've been making me a lot of money. However, I decided that money is overrated, much like the Beatles, and now I'm going to make a video nobody will watch about a 10-year-old game that nobody played. Now, this ranking video will be quite subjective. Sniper Elite V2 is old, and therefore has a UI that is now used to torture prisoners of war in American correctional facilities. It does not show weapon stats in-game, and as far as I know, nobody on the internet has data mined them for my convenience. So, this video will be rather subjective, but I will still try my best to offer a balanced viewpoint instead of just saying that the Enfield is the best because it's British. So, without further ado, let's get into this. In 9th place, we have the Springfield M1903. The Springfield is the basic rifle of the game and is given to you from the off. The Springfield is described as having a high muzzle velocity, but basic magnification. It is worth noting that no rifle in this game is bad. All of them are fairly viable and, to be honest, fairly similar. The Springfield just ends up being as boring as a Warhammer player on Downers, which was probably an intentional decision, seeing as it's the basic rifle of the game. In 8th place, we have the Enfield Mark III, which is quite a competent rifle, with a moderate zoom but low muzzle velocity. Its chief advantage is that it holds 10 rounds, which is the highest capacity of any bolt action in the game. The Enfield performs very similarly to the Springfield, although it does feel more deadly. The Enfield is overall fairly mediocre. The weapon's 10-round magazine is nice, but not especially useful for a bolt action. In 7th place we have the G43, the first semi-automatic rifle on the list. The G43 is also the first weapon on this list that I would consider to be properly good. It's the last rifle you unlock in the base game, and excluding DLCs is the only semi-auto. The G43 has a high level of zoom, the highest in the base game, and its muzzle velocity is predictably poor however. Unlike in other Sniper Elite games, the G43 in V2 only has a 7-round magazine, which is fairly high, but is still lackluster compared to other self-loading rifles. In 6th place we have the SVT-40. The SVT is your basic semi-auto. It hits harder than a drunken soldier, has a 10-round magazine which is very useful, and it fires very rapidly. The SVT's chief downside is that it has a low zoom level which limits its usefulness at long range, and it also kinda makes it a struggle to take out tanks when they're afar to hit the tiny little petrol cap. The rifle is also said to have high recoil, but in my experience it really isn't that bad, especially at the rather short average engagement range of Sniper Elite V2. In 5th place we have the Mosin Nagant. The Mosin has a decent zoom level and high muzzle velocity. It's the second rifle encountered in the campaign, and it effectively acts as a stat boost to the Springfield, which becomes obsoleted by the presence of more difficult enemies in the latter half of the campaign. The Mosin is overall a capable and reliable rifle, which easily outclasses the competition to be the best rifle of the game. In 4th place we have the M1 Carbine. The M1 Carbine essentially acts as the thinking man's SVT, with a high fire rate, magazine capacity and damage balanced by low zoom and a muzzle velocity slower than the average Fortnite player. The Carbine is hands down the most effective rifle for a close quarters combat, and if you know what you're going up against, or you can force a close range engagement, then the M1 Carbine is a properly useful rifle. In 3rd place we have the M1 Garand, which is the definitive semi-auto of World War II. The M1 Garand has the least useful description of any of the weapons in the game. All it says is that the Garand has a lower muzzle velocity than the Springfield, which is so obvious even Dominic Cummings could have figured it out. From my experience, the Garand does high damage, has a decent muzzle velocity and zoom, and being semi-auto, it has a nice fire rate too. The 8-round magazine isn't great, but it isn't G43 tier of embarrassingly small either, so I can't complain. In second place we have the Type 99, which is a Japanese bolt-action rifle. The Type 99 offers an excellent mix of high muzzle velocity and zoom to make it an incredibly effective long-range killer. The Type 99 is slow, but makes up for this with its reliability and ability at range, and is overall a devilishly effective rifle, and can kill Nazis quicker than a Sherman tank covered with GIs. And in first place, as the best rifle in the game, we have the Kar98K. The Kar98K's chief advantage is its biblical zoom level, which is high enough to spot a Nat's freckles from 100 yards, and its high damage, which makes a howitzer look like a Nerf gun. The Kar98K is said to have a poor muzzle velocity, and whilst lower than that of the Type 99, you wouldn't really notice. The Kar98K is my favourite rifle in Sniper Elite V2, and I highly recommend it. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe and comment. It costs you nothing and it's a great way to help out the channel. Stay safe and goodbye.